Hello and welcome to SOUQ Pulse. It's always a delight being here, knowing fully well that you on that other side, you're part of us, not just joining in, but you're calling friends, your neighbors, your landlord if possible, and everyone you love, even those that you don't think love you, and we are part of this conversation because we have this normal tagline, never keep quiet, don't stop talking. So on SOUQ Pulse, we'll tell you this, what is happening. Is it positive, is it negative? Our business is doing well. We talk. What about loans? The ones you take from, be it your local banks or be it from those international organizations, are they being used for the purpose they are meant for? You talk. Within your borders, are businesses thriving? Goods and services, are they moving as they're supposed to? At the end of the day, is it bringing food on the table? We talk. My name is SOUQ, John Rogers SOUQ. And we will open up and tell you what we're discussing today. We will never get tired of it. If we say Africa must move forward, then we have to get productive. We have dealt with this through several other directions. We've faced this particular dilemma. We've faced this hurdle, and we've talked about it from right, left. But we can't stop talking about this. We are saying that this is a race, whether we like it or not, whether you are partaking or not. Africa, Asia, the West, Middle East, even where people don't live that much, Antarctica, down to Australia, everybody is in a race. Now, if you divide it into countries, every single one of them, everyone is trying to provide not just luxury, but the better things of life for their people. They are trying to make sure that their economies work. And for that to work, there has to be a market. For that market to thrive, somebody has to buy. For someone has to buy, someone has to sell. And remember, it's the person that is selling that is making the profit. Today, we are looking at this particular issue. What is standing in the way of Africans' technological advancement? Now, for those that might not understand this, the world as we speak is being driven by technology. It doesn't matter where you look at. It doesn't matter what market you play, what sector you play. Technology is taking over, has taken over in some other places, or completely disrupted the system in some other places. So we are telling ourselves, if this market have to thrive, for us not to just be the market where they dump things, every other continent comes to Africa. Africa is the market, but the buying side of the market. How can Africa also get a hold and play in this market? To do justice to this particular topic of ours today, I have in the studio, he's a friend of the house. You've not seen him here before, but on the flip side, behind the cameras, he's always been a contributor, and he's assisted on several issues, several topics. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, join me as I welcome to SOUQ Pulse for the first time, Engineer Collings Opara. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure having you here today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I tried pulling you here several times, and finally you're here.
Yeah, Lagos is tough, Nigeria tough.
Lagos is beautiful. Nigeria is beautiful.
No, it's still there, you know. No matter how tough it gets, that's actually the reason why it is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Without that, there's
the
no story.
The solution.
There's no story.
The solution brings out the business.
If you're too sweet, now screensaver.
It's nice having you here. For those that might not know, he is an operations and quality management expert. And his first degree happens to be industrial chemistry.
Yeah.
Good. Then for those that are looking at him and he's shining, yeah, he's also a lubricant expert. When I mean oil lubricant, motor spirit lubricant, industrial lubricant. So keep your minds clean. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Good. Those of you that are still wondering, the continent that's for Africa, yes, Africa is still young. Yes, Africa is still very young because some less than 100 years ago, we were divided in one particular place called Berlin. And those Western powers decided to split Africa due to the pocket and size they wanted to play. That is long gone. Those days are over. So what excuse exactly do we have? Now, we are coming back, and Mr. Collins, I'm coming straight to you. On a generally speaking, what do you think is standing on Africa's way?
Okay, there are lots of things.
Just go generally,
yes.
then we'll now start breaking it down.
Yeah, okay, first of all, we need to understand what technology is in the first place. You understand? Now, technology is just scientific knowledge to solve problems.
Scientific knowledge to solve problems. Thank you.
Now, the scientific knowledge does not even mean the tech, the electronics, and all of these things we do. Let me give you an example in our own field, manufacturing. If we go down to our villages, if you see the process, they mine and produce palm oil from the kernel.
Okay.
If you take that sample and test it, you will see the properties are different from how it is done industrially. Now, what they have done is technology. They have used their own native technology, their own technology, to solve that problem. What is the problem? We need palm oil to cook. But the advancement is now the industrial scale, where we say, okay, we want to yield, this particular volume is giving us 40% palm oil. But now we want to do 70% palm oil. We now use hexane to extract it, and then now take out the hexane, the palm oil remains. So in the first place, these two are technologies because these are knowledge that's been used to get this thing out. Then the next one is advancement for business this time around.
Okay.
So that's what it is. But the question is, have we moved or have we become better than what we should be? If we even use the palm oil, we'll look at the story, the history that Malaysia came to learn this technology from us, and Malaysia has advanced beyond this, and they are better than us in palm oil production. And palm oil was one of the things that made the naira higher or stronger than the dollar that year.
Okay.
Palm oil was one of those. Palm oil was the reason
why.
We're
talking about years when you were present, because I don't remember
that year,
being present.
Historically, history.
Okay.
Palm oil technology and all of that was the reason why Jaja of Opobo was banished to Opobo. And so all of these things are technology. Why have we not advanced?
Why have we not gone beyond our local, at that scale of technology?
Frankly speaking, we have, but we are not matching with the world, the other parts of the world, as at present. We were historically better than the world. Africa was actually more technologically advanced than the world, other parts of the world. And in fact,
then what happened?
Europe came to learn technology from Africa. People like Socrates, Plato, Anaximenes, these Pythagoras, they spent about an average of 22 years studying in Africa before going back to Europe. So technology was actually our thing. But over time, Africa had not advanced because it was taken away, and that's some of the things.
When you say it was taken away, can you define it was taken away? Taken away how?
Okay.
Do you take away a people, or take away knowledge, or take away means, or take away their sense of thinking, or you tell them stop thinking? Okay,
fine. Africa had this innocence. Africa had this innocence that Africa shares what it has. It doesn't look at it competitively. Let me give you one example. Pythagoras, the guy Pythagoras, who gave us the Pythagoras theorem.
You talk like you met him before.
But this is history.
Okay, history.
This is history. You have to read history of technology and science and all of that.
Now you're making
something.
It easy.
Okay, let me give you an instance. There is a course then in our school, FUTO, GST 201, which is science and technology. What the main purpose was to study how science affects society and how science and technology affect society, and how society affects science and technology. In that course, we'll go through a few of the history, but some of us want to know more. The Africans in us, yes. We want to study the Africans in us. So especially myself and one of my friends, Edwin Akenua, we will go and swallow all the historical books and science history in the pilot plant library as at that time. So we needed to know more, and we kept trying to know. So all of these things, Pythagoras, after learning, went down to Europe and published Pythagoras' theorem as his own. And he learned it in. That's why today has the board is still studying the technology of the pyramid, the Egyptian pyramid. But the first pyramid was not really in Egypt. It was in Mali. And there were some in other parts of the Bight of Biafra as well, pyramids that were also destroyed, which are still being studied till date, how it all came. So technology itself had not advanced because when this was moved, it was shared, the other part of the world became competitive. Africa traveled around the world before Europeans. So the idea of saying so person came down to Africa and found River Niger, that was also false.
Okay, now let's leave Mongo Park out of this particular discussion because Mongo Park himself, no, he didn't find any River Niger.
Exactly.
Good. So now let's move ahead and ask some very pressing questions.
Yeah.
Now, if we say we study technology or our advancement in technology is not competitive because we are looking at the market. What are we bringing to the market? What is our technology bringing to the market? Now, before you answer that question, let's go back to our schools. Are our schools equipping those coming out to know that whatever you're studying here, you need to go out there and acquire the technology to get competitive?
Okay, by our schools, you mean our universities,
Our
right?
universities,
No.
our institutes, our polytechnics.
No, they are not.
Everywhere you go and pick up a certificate.
No, they are not, but there are places you go pick up the certificate and you get that knowledge. But you probably may not get BTech, BSc, and all of that.
Okay. Why are the BTech, the BScs, the B engine, the B diesel, all the Bs,
Yes,
and what comes with it, why is it not equipping Africans, let's be specific, Nigerians, to be able to be technology, not just technology savvy, technology productive?
Okay, it's a curriculum.
Okay.
Our curriculum has not evolved.
Whose
It was
curriculum?
the curriculum that's used in the university.
Given by who? Developed by who?
It's developed by the academics. Yes.
The academia. Okay. Are they Africans?
The Africans, of course. And okay, let me give you, for example, some of the universities of technologies got a lot of their curriculum designs from MIT and other technology universities across the world. Okay. But these other people have evolved their curriculum. Okay. We have not.
Okay.
We are still using the curriculum we took in the 80s and the 70s, but they have evolved their curriculum. We have not. They have evolved it, they have changed it to meet the needs. As the needs are changing, they are changing as well and getting better, but we are not. If you pick some of the textbooks you pick up to read, you will see that some of them are 1980s, 1970s, 1990s research work. So if at times you want to challenge your lecturer, you know, that, I mean, this stuff you're teaching has been overtaken by a 2011 research work, it becomes a problem. So the motivation to move a step further is usually a problem. So you get that only from innovation hubs, tech colleges, and all of that you get outside that will just give diploma and certificates. You learn the skills raw. So most times, university graduates are advised after they graduate, or even while they are still in school, go and get this updated knowledge, so that by the time you're graduating, you are work ready. Else, you just have the degree and you roam the street. The first job you get will be a 50,000 job.
Okay. Now, before you put figures out there. Okay.
But it is not as if Africa has not moved. Since 2002, the mobile phone technology, we have moved faster than we could have moved without that particular. Because as the mobile technology began, it didn't start with Nigeria, there were other countries. And if you recall, Kenya started the mobile payment with M-Pesa. And M-Pesa became very popular and huge, right? So it took us a lot of years to get to that particular stage. And why? We had the NIBs all this while. Why haven't we deployed that? But when small player fintechs, which became big like Flutterwave and Paystack came, they became like Switch that NIBs could have done. You understand? So it also means that Government has
Has a role to play.
a role to
Okay.
play.
Now, let's deal with this education thing, because every year, hundreds of thousands of students, adults, leave our high institutions,
Yeah.
and all armed with certificate.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the name or the degree that it's on it, from first level down to postgraduate levels. At this stage, don't you think it's time African leaders, African academia, call ourselves to order and say this needs to stop? We can't start graduating people that are not industry ready. We can't start graduating people that cannot disrupt the industry. We can't start graduating people that let's forget about competing right now, but let's be able to bring products to the market and be able to feed Africa. Where should that conversation start?
Okay, the conversation should start with the policies of government and the budget implementation of government. Let me explain that very well. If the government is saying that they are going to be spending 100 billion on cars, right? Ordinarily, analysts who are reviewing the budget, or let's even leave cars, it might be very thorny. Food, government is going to spend 100 billion on food. Ordinarily, the conversation would be that, man, 100 million is going into the economy. If 100 million is going to the economy, it means that a part of that money is going into agricultural research. Agri-technology will be boosted because the government wants to ensure that food is available. So what does it do? There will be research on seedlings, there will be research on organic fertilizers, there will be research on organic pesticide and all of that, right? So that's it in itself will motivate research and technology. Where will the money go? The money will go to the universities to do those research. That research runs down into the students because it becomes part of the students' project. Then it comes back again to the society. That's where technology and society meet. And they say, oh, we have found a resistant beans. So we're going to spread this to where they plant beans most. So who are those farmers in Benue? Who are those farmers in Zamfara? Who are those farmers we're going to spread? So by the time they put it into the soil, it begins to grow. If there is a problem, it goes back into the laboratory again. The agri guys, the crop production guys, all of them begin to look at the research again. Now, government is the only entity that has that muscle to spend that money and not shake.
Now,
Not private individual.
If we say government is the only entity, now let's take this particular discussion outside Nigeria, outside Africa.
Okay.
Majority of research outside this continent is not government.
Okay.
It's done by private organizations,
Okay.
Businesses, foundations,
Okay.
majorly foundations.
Yeah.
Now, where and how can Africa start having this kind of foundations? This kind of, I can't call them money bags, but trust funds dedicated to research. Then also, as you're answering that, what about those particular research coming from the institutions, coming from research organizations, research institutes? Are they not industry worthy?
Okay, good. No matter how private that expense is, there is no research that is not motivated by government's budget and government's policy. None. If you look at those guys out there that spend money on research, they are looking at what government will spend, and they're also looking at what will motivate the people. Now, two things runs business. But the major one is culture that runs business. Culture is the way of life of the people. People won't buy anything that does not meet their way of life. So, for example, if you move to Abuja now, you will know that tea is a big business in Abuja, but not in Lagos. Right? So
when you say tea, you mean Meshai?
Both Meshai, the Arabian teas, and all of that. So it's cultural, right? Good. So it's a big business. It sells more than beer and all of those stuff but not in Lagos.
In Abuja?
Yes, in Abuja and various other parts of the north. In Plateau, other parts, a greater part of the north is there. So what does that motivate? It will motivate the growth of tea in that particular location.
Unfortunately, they don't plant tea leaves there.
No, I know several companies,
That are thinking about it
several
or trying.
individuals, you understand, that are doing well in tea. I know of a guy, I'll remember his name, but he has been signed on by the Bauchi State
Okay.
government
Okay.
as the
Recently.
official tea. This is about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Official tea maker. So
Are they doing it commercially?
yes, commercially,
Large scale?
yeah, large scale,
Okay.
packaged, well packaged. It's finer than the Lipton tea packaging we see.
Don't go there.
Sorry.
You're welcome.
So it's finer than a lot of the regular brands that we think we see, but it's nice. I've tasted it, it's fine.
Now, let's look at, you spoke a little about policy. Now, let's look at nationalism.
Okay.
We have issues where people, individuals, regions, they don't take it serious or upon them that, hey, we need to move this country forward.
Oh, okay.
And as such, you won't dedicate most of your time on research, or you won't dedicate most of your time or your energy giving your best in using your brain and putting it to work. Can we talk to that particular pride in people, in Africans generally? Because most times we end up depending on simple solution to a problem. That's what you call technology advancements. You know,
Yeah.
we end up depending on the West to provide solutions for our problems.
I think that dependency, I won't blame that on us. It takes a lot to be patriotic. It takes a lot of motivation to do that, to be patriotic as a person. And there are so many demotivation for regular individuals in Nigeria to be patriotic when you see the type of things.
There will always be demotivation.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
now let me reframe. Do
okay.
we only see the problem?
Seeing the problem is actually where the business is.
Thank
and
you.
That's
So
where I'm getting
do we
to.
dwell on? Okay, that is a problem, and that's what we talk and discuss about.
Yeah. Not everybody.
I'm talking at as a whole.
Yeah. Not everybody go through a system where they are wired to see problem as business. Not everybody. Some go through a system or an educational system, or a schooling system that makes them see trouble as a problem as always a problem, and it drags them down. A lot of people see these problems as a solution, as a way, you understand, to find solution and earn from it. However we look at it, even where there is a problem in a country, that is actually where the large volume of transaction can happen. If you go to a society where there is no problem, there is nothing for you to sell. There is no solution for you to provide. So where the problem is in Africa, and that is why the West are bringing solutions to Africa in order for them to sell something. So
Okay.
that's why that's what I was
where the
going
problem
to.
is in Africa, and that is why the West is bringing solutions to Africa
Yes.
for Africans to buy.
Yes.
Then why the West is bringing solutions and coming down here,
Yeah.
Africa is jackbuying.
Okay.
So now, when you study, pick up a certificate, whether you're good at it or you're not good at it, and you're now leaving, you now leave and go to the other side and become very productive.
Yeah.
Is that also affecting our productivity?
Okay, let's look at it this way. At some point in time, Europe had a welfare-based economy. It was full welfare. You get to 18 years, you're giving 700 euros, $800, and all of that. So what do you think would happen? If I am making that type of money, why do I need to work, right? Good. So at some point in time, sometime I was in Vienna, a friend, an elderly guy, was about 60, 70, told me that they are afraid because the younger ones coming in, their younger ones coming in are not productive. So who are going to pay the taxes that will be used to take care of them when they get old? What does that mean? It means that there is a problem. And Europe wants that problem solved. So when then Africans go there, you understand, and close that gap for them, pay the taxes, but they also remit something back home. So everybody gets to be happy.
So it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
That's what it looks like.
Okay, so we are looking at...
But over time, when Nigeria, because we will get better, no matter how we look at it, no matter what we see that is happening now in the country, Nigeria will get better.
Over Africa?
It is, yes, Africa, yes, will get better. Of
Or
course.
are you of the opinion that if Nigeria
drives,
gets it,
yes,
Africa will
yes,
get it right?
Yes. Africa is waiting for Nigeria. Africa is waiting for Nigeria. So we will get there. But when we do get there slowly, you will now see that there will be an advantage for those Japa because their experience, their exposure, they will now have to come back and be very productive. It happened in India.
Okay.
It happened in China. China deliberately sends her people out to go and learn other cultures, learn other things. Come back. Why are these people very good at producing foods? Go and study. Come back and let us see what to learn. Why are these people going? So theirs is deliberate. Ours is not deliberate yet. But we will enjoy it when the time comes. Because we know Nigeria will get better no matter how we get.
I've been looking at what is standing in the way of Africa when it comes to advancement in technology, bringing products to the market. That is just the basic line of it. Ability to solve problems, product in whatever form. And let's touch this a bit before we run from it. Africa, most people say dumping ground, but I don't take that. Well, I just look at it more as a market, and we are buying more from this market instead of selling.
Yeah.
How can we start turning that tide?
Okay. I think the first thing we need to do is local production. We need to begin to make what we need.
What we need?
Yes.
Okay.
Not just what we want. We need to begin to make what we need. And when we make what we need, at some point in time, the competition will increase. Competition will increase for us, and we have so many because once we start, the producer gets patronage. Another starts, let's give you an example, Dangote. We have BUA. We'll have other ones coming up with modular refineries. At some point in time, we will have excess of those fuels products. We will now begin to export to other countries. Even if we start from the neighboring countries, it is enough business for Nigeria, right? So the same thing for food. If we begin to produce, and of course, the first thing is we need to deal with the security issues, and we begin to produce. Even if we do not want to produce, let us even begin to broker raw material supply security and begin to add value. Adding value to the raw materials is the manufacturing and begin to move it out to the world. For example, UK is the largest exporter of tea in the world. They do not grow tea. They do not grow it. All their tea, the raw materials coming from Kenya and Zimbabwe and other parts of. But they have grown capacity and the technology in adding value, which is the manufacturing, the packaging, the designs and all of that.
So when they are done, they'll now send it back to Kenya and
the
Zimbabwe
other parts of the world.
and Nigeria and
Yes.
the same thing that we grew and send the raw
Yes.
product. We now buy the processed one.
Exactly.
The value added ones.
Exactly. So if we
and they will collect back the money they gave us to buy the tea and extra.
Correct. So when we begin to add value to our raw materials, and even if we don't have the raw materials here, we'll bring in raw materials and add value to them and move it out to the world, it becomes an awesome month for us. That's what it is.
Okay, now let's look at this other one. Now you gave an example of the UK. Now I always prefer going to Asia.
Okay.
Now Asia is one particular economy, Asia as a whole, not splitting or dividing them. They have been able to hold their people and get them very productive.
Yeah.
They have been able to create industrial hubs where you just know products are coming out and they are coming out in numbers that are scary.
Yeah.
And they've been able to find markets and move them as a whole. So
Yeah.
everybody producing is covered in one way or the other.
Fine.
What can Africa start copying from Asia?
Okay. First, there was actually a deliberate direction by the government. And I'll give like 3 things. First, China created a platform economy. A platform economy in the sense that we want you all over the world, come to us. We will produce for you. That's what they did. But before they did that, they enabled all the small businesses, the homes and all of that to produce. So what it means is that as a platform organization, if I'm a Chinese, I don't have a production plant, I cannot produce, but I have learned to market. So I will tell the world that I can produce this at a very good rate for you. So I go to maybe 20 homes that can produce it little by little, and so then that's one side. The next other part is that why would anyone want to come to my country to produce? They have to come to my country to produce because it will be cheaper for them to produce any other place, anywhere else, even in their own country. What will China do? China ensure that their currency, they will deliberately devalue their currency, not float, not floating. They deliberately devalue it so that money can come in, production can happen cheaper, and it goes back to them. Then while they are doing that, they are also keeping to if you know the Maslow's hierarchy of motivation, first thing is food. They are making sure that there is available food. When there's available food, what you won't worry again. Every other thing will now be like an extra money and that. So you see, those three things put together are deliberate, integrated economic policy. And that's what China is doing. And that is why the US is angry with China. Why are you, each time their currency wants to go up, they bring it down? And US is saying no. Because of that, they're now saying, look, you can't be coming with your fabric into our country and destroying our local fabric manufacturing. You can't be coming in with this and destroying this. The next thing, they couldn't get it. They now said China is using child labor. That's what's making it cheap and whatever. But China knows what they want. So it has to be a deliberate policy of the government.
Deliberate policy by African government.
By African government.
Okay. Yeah. Now, before that policy can even work, they have to put this particular things you said in place.
Yes, they have to look at what works for us. Okay. It may not be exactly how China has done it, but they have to look at what works for us. Okay. And put it down.
Okay. Now, let's also look at this. If we start looking at ideas, several ideas in Africa are regionalized. Yeah. Typical example: if you go to the Middle Eastern part of Africa, you see a whole lot of agriculture, a whole lot of hides and skin,
yes.
A whole lot of that kind of furniture technology.
Yes.
If you go to some part of Nigeria, you see a lot of adire kind of technology.
Yes.
Same thing in the north, you see a lot of tie and dye
yes.
kind of technology.
Yes.
Now, if you go to the east, you see a whole lot of metal kind of technology.
Yes.
Now, is it possible if we say, okay, wherever you are, whatever part of Africa you are, if it's South Africa, you see a whole lot of winery and co.
Yes.
Can we say wherever you are, get strong in it? That's your comparative advantage. Get strong in it, get better in it. Instead of me going to the West to buy, I will do my own. You buy my own, I buy your own.
Okay.
Is it something that Africa can say, okay, good, now we have an African continental free trade area. Yeah. Can we start looking at that direction as, okay, get better, produce more? So don't produce what I will produce. Yeah. Produce more of what you can produce. Yeah. I'll produce mine. When you need yours, I'll come buy. If you need, you come buy. Yeah. Is it something that we can say, let's try out?
It's something that needs to happen, not just to try, right? Good. So why would I prefer, you understand, to take pericardium imported as expensive as it is, as a government official, to what is produced locally? Why would I prefer to do the imported drinks, imported wines, import all of those expenses, you understand, and go back to one joint and let them blow the dorime for me? And then, if I do that to a local manufacturer, winery in Ibadan, in Lagos, in Mbidi in Owerri, and all of other, Mbidi in Imo State and all of other parts of the country, they will by all means, move from one stage to the other stage in their business. And what will happen there? The VAT will increase, the CIT that government will take will increase, the jobs will increase, meaning that there will be PE. Then there will now also be money for the government to drive back into research, into development, into technology. So these things, that's what Africans and African government needs to do. Not just the Africans and African government officials need to do if we want to develop Africa.
Okay. Now, our time is fast spent, but we can still go to this particular place.
Yeah.
Now, there is this. It's unspoken, but we know it's in the air.
Yeah.
When a set of people or a set of regions think that they are being suppressed and their knowledge is not being used,
Yeah.
is it something that we can start looking into and say, hey, let everybody develop at their pace?
Yeah.
Let any technology, wherever it's coming, let it just grow at their pace.
Yeah.
And that particular region gets involved in getting those particular knowledge out. Is it something that
Yeah.
Africa can embrace?
Yes, yes. That's what Africa, not just what Africa can embrace, that's what Africa needs to embrace. You know, every region, every culture, every nation, and when I mean nation, I'm not talking about country. I mean nations. You understand? Ethnic nations, tribal nations have their star in them. They have what they are best at, right? So, and when we say unity in diversity, this is what leaders are supposed to bring out. This is what leaders are supposed to exhume from each of those nations. Because at the end of everything, it will be regarded as something coming from the country until maybe all of them. Because so when you now look at the people in the Swahilis, when you look at the, from all, for example, Kenya has grown the capacity for flour. They export, for flour is like their oil. They export fresh flowers to Europe. That's what they live on. It's their biggest, both flowers and tourism is their strength. South Africa has theirs. If you come down to the northern part of Africa, they have theirs. I mean, if you walk into a particular part of Zamfara called Safi, if you see the cotton plantation there, you'll be so amazed why we have to import even fabric. So when
So
you
who
now
are they exporting the cotton to? Where is the cotton going to?
they process locally. I don't even know where it goes from there. But it's huge. If you now come down to other places, for example, if you go down to Plateau State, there's something called acha. It is a proteinous meal. You can use it. So has any research been done seriously on that? But it's a proteinous meal that any diabetes person can use, either as swallow or all of that. This can be processed. If you go down to Kafanchan or whatever, almost the export ginger and all of the turmeric and all of that moves to India, processed, and is now coming back to Nigeria, about 65% of them is coming from Kafanchan. If you come down to Abakaliki, this I have known for over 11 years ago, especially during the OBJ period. About Olams that we know, sorry, I'm mentioning names because they are big and they have done a lot.
No, we'll give you the bills. Don't worry, you can go ahead. It's just the bills we'll give to you.
They move a lot of the rice husks, they process, coming from Abakaliki, down to outside, I think it's Tanzania or which part of Africa they process and bring in the products in. So a lot is coming out of this place. All we just needed to do was to enable local processing, just like what Agonga and Additional did during the JEJ period. They enabled all of these things. So that's what Africa needs to do. Then Africa needs now to collaborate. I do not think that AU is using her wealth of power and culture strongly. AU is not. Africa is richer than every part of the world. Africa should not be hungry. Africa owns technology. It should not be. So we need to advance from where we are presently, find ourselves back again and moving. We should be that Africa we used to be, not trying to be as competitive and strangulate the other parts, which is what the others are afraid, because that was what it was. But now there needs to be collaboration. And good 18, that is what the DG of World Trade Organization is doing, trying to make sure that trade is balanced, solving problems between all the big boys that are trying to.
When you say big boys, you're talking about countries, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's look at this particular one before we get to go. Now for technological innovations, for some new research findings, if you look around Africa, from time to time, you just discover that somebody makes a discovery.
Yeah.
Some discoveries stay there for a very long time.
Yeah.
And African states, African local government, African countries don't really take those particular individuals serious.
Yeah.
Then after a while, you discover that that person is no longer is not in that environment anymore.
Yeah.
Then give it some few months or years down the line, that same person is back from outside this country. And that technology that person invented, you are now getting to buy it from a company not in Africa or not in your country, Asia, Europe, West. Where and how can Africa start maximizing the new ideas, inventions coming out of Africa?
Okay, I think we can do it, but I know the challenges are there. And let me just state some hard truths. For example, during the COVID, a lot of people invented ventilators. After the COVID, we forgot about people who invented a lot of things, both ventilators, hand wash, and automatic wash, and all of that. These are things that immediately after the COVID, we should have been having these things in all the primary health centers across the country and all the other health centers across the country. Because no matter how local you think the ventilators are, did they not work? They worked. So you're now looking for those ones that have very fine designs that you don't know the electronics inside of them and you buy them very expensive. It is because a lot of the officials want to steal money. They need to give contract outside and steal money. That's why these things are there. And a lot of these things are happening because of the first questions you asked, where we can, allow regions to work. Nigeria is structured for competitive stealing. It is affecting us. It is not allowing us to see what competitive stealing.
Okay. Competitive corruption.
Stealing. Competitive stealing.
Okay.
Stealing is not corruption.
Okay, now yes, you've brought us back to like the basics. We don't have the word corruption in any Nigerian language. So you're a thief or you're a thief. Okay, now, we want to say thank you very much for coming on SOUQ Pulse.
Thanks.
Now, for those that are wondering, our team for a very long time, as long as I can remember, has always been on productivity. It doesn't matter what side of the divide you are. It doesn't matter which state of Africa you are. We say get productive. Whether you like it or not, it is a race and everybody is running. Yeah. It's either you are running or someone is running on your behalf. And that means you're a market, the selling part of the market. And they just dump on you and you did the buying. I want to say thank you very much. Let us rethink. Let us rejig Africa. Let us keep talking. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter which side of the divide you are. We keep talking. Mr. Collings Opara, thank you very much for coming on SOUQ Pulse.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to calling you next time, and you will also honor us.
Yeah. Final words. I think youth and every person in Nigeria should understand that Nigeria would get better. Don't stop. Do something every day. Think an idea every day. When you fail, you stand up and learn something and learn one way how not to do something wrong. But we will get better. We will.
Thank you very much. There is no need of adding any other thing. We will do this again tomorrow, which happens to be Friday, and to always get better, just like he said. My name is SOUQ, and on behalf of everybody that was part of this production, have yourself a beautiful evening.